So what better way to launch my YouTube channel than to give you a tour of my garden? I'm passionate about healthy food, growing it, cooking it, preserving it, of course eating it, and growing it is the first step, and I love gardening, so I'd like to share my garden with you. So come along on the tour. We'll start in the backyard. And a garden is always a work in progress. If I waited until it was just perfect in a showable condition, that would never happen. There's always something to do, and there's always something to learn. I've been doing this for about 30 years now, and I still don't completely know what I'm doing. So this is what it is on this day right now today. So I put in some persimmon trees, about two of them, about 2 years ago, and last year I had 2 persimmons. This year they were loaded with fruit early on, and I've just noticed that most of it has dropped off. Either that or something has eaten it. And that could be either, because the squirrels really are thieves. But it wasn't even close to being ripe, so I think maybe it just dropped off. Anyway, maybe I'll have some persimmons. I do have blueberries. Also planted these about 2 years ago, and the birds ate most of the blueberries last year, so we put this netting up, and so far it's been working pretty good. We've had to get birds out from inside the netting, and another time one bird got caught actually got caught in the netting itself, and but it managed to free itself before we could get to it, so that was fortunate. I have some other ideas about what to do for netting. This is not perfect setup in the least, but you can see I just got tons of blueberries. We've been getting about a pint a day. It's been pretty good. So these are irises and daylilies here at the base, and they have to be thinned. One of the things I would ask is if anybody has any suggestions about what to do with this. This is a little place between the garage and the back fence, and it's a northwest exposure, which means this time of year it gets morning sun. Most of the year it doesn't get any sun at all. So I was thinking about putting some mushroom logs back here, and if anybody has any ideas about what might be good, what else might be good to go here, please let me know. So we'll move on here. These are my elderberries, and I'm going to have a bumper crop of elderberries again this year. I had one last year, and I also only planted these 2 years ago, and they're towering. And I don't eat any sugar anymore, and elderberries they're pretty bitter. They need a lot of sugar. So if anybody has any suggestions about low sugar elderberry solutions, I cooked some with dates last year, and that was pretty good, but I have a lot of elderberries, so if anybody has any sugar-free options, not with chemical sugar, please also put down in the comments box, let me know what you think I should do with all the elderberries I have. So over here is my raspberries, and I did have some Joe Pye weed that was crowding them out. So they're not looking too good at the moment. I've had a few raspberries. It looks like we might have a better fall crop since I got the they have a little more room to expand now, and I've had vine borers, so I've had to cut a lot off. It looks like I have some more to go. And right here I have a compost tumbler that has to be moved, but I'm not sure where to put it yet. It's not great. We don't really use it. I thought it would be a good solution, but stuff takes forever to decompose in this thing. And we had another compost thing that didn't work either, where you put it in the top and dug it out the bottom. So our solution was curbside pickup for our yard, for our food waste. This is another elderberry bush that's also covered in weeds. I have plans for this bed. I'm not sure what to plant here yet along this fence line. I think I'd like to expand the raspberries. And I have one lone elderberry bush that looks like I've got a lot of elderberries coming on this one. In this corner, I've got a rain barrel, and this is another work in progress. This bed, this is where we sort our bamboo. And I've got some black-eyed Susans and echinacea growing. And this is the Joe Pye weed that is just so invasive. It's a native plant, and the bees love it. It's just so invasive. It takes over. You know, I keep digging it out and it keeps coming back. So I'm not sure what to do. I like having plants for the bees. We have a neighbor who used to plant morning glories along his fence line every year. And his neighbor is long gone, but the morning glories persist, and I have been fighting a battle against them continually. I can't get rid of them. So, anyway, and then I bought some mulch here, and this is also going to be a another bed, and I think maybe I'll just put perennials in this. Just a little pathway along the edge of the deck. And you can see up here we have our sustainable solar powered laundry dryer, and it's a Mrs. Peg's Handy line, and unfortunately they're not available anymore. Or I'd put a link to it in the description box. Coming along the side, I had grapes in this side, and they just got to be too much of a jungle. They were too hard to take care of, so I took them out. And I didn't know what to do with this. So what I've done temporarily is I put plants in pots, and they need to be watered. I've got 2 tomatoes that didn't fit in the garden, and I've got 5 eggplants, and you can see I got a lot of cute little eggplants growing. And I have a bumper crop. We've got some arugula, and I don't know what prompted me to think I could grow red beets and carrots in pots, but we'll see what happens. Got some ornamentals in the front as well as some pot herbs. I bought this mint at the garden center, and it looks like mint, but it doesn't taste or smell like mint at all. I don't know what the problem is. It doesn't taste good at all, and it doesn't smell good. Then I have rosemary and basil. And here we've got some dahlias and petunias. and they're happy. I thought the dahlias were going to be a lot higher, and they're really not as happy. I think they're happier here in the garden. So here I planted some dianthus and dahlias, and I'm really surprised. The Johnny Jump Ups are looking pretty good. It's been really hot, but they're still looking okay. For a while, the dianthus was doing pretty well, and now it's not looking nearly as good. And the dahlias are looking better. But I'm not really a annual person, so. And my daylilies here are finished, and this looks like this one rhododendron bush that I put in last year died, or 2 years ago, and this one is on its way out now. I'm not sure what the problem has been. Maybe there's too much sun here for it. So I've got some, what do I have? An oak leaf hydrangea and something else. I forget what these are. Rather unremarkable flowers. Here are my pawpaw. This is my pawpaw grove. I have 3 trees planted. This used to be a really sunny spot, but now it's a little too shady. So I put the pawpaws in. They're pretty much an understory tree. They're native. They flowered this spring, but they didn't produce any fruit. And I'm wondering if they're just too young, or if they didn't get pollinated. It's hard to tell. So I've got 3 pawpaw trees, and I'm hoping that, given I've never eaten one, it was an act of faith to plant 3. So I will plant another 3 and have like a pawpaw grove if and when these start producing and I actually decide I like them. So I'll do another video at some point on rain barrels and watering, but I've got another 2 rain barrels set up here, and I've got bamboo. That's my bamboo stand, and I cut from that, and I built a trellis here for the tomatoes, and I have a tomato jungle at this point. And I'm not sure. This bamboo trellis is a lot more work. This row is trellised, and then the second row over here is caged. And the cage is a lot tighter, has them a lot more compact, which means I can't see as well of what tomatoes I've actually got. And I've had some more fungus on this side, and also blossom end rot. So I don't know whether it's whether it's because they're closer together, or it's a different variety and maybe it's less resistant to fungus. I'm not sure. But I've had a lot more problems on this side, or maybe it's just because they don't get as much sun. But I think next year I'm going to go with the trellis. I'm going to forego the cages and just build a slightly sturdier trellis. The bamboo works really well. It's nice and strong, but it's slippery. So when you tie things together and then the weight of the tomatoes presses on it, it slides. And so I've had to do a lot of repairs. I kind of have to come out every day and make sure that things are still And there we go. We got some red coming in there, but you can see I've got a ton of tomatoes, and they're easier to see with the trellis. So I've got 3 different varieties. These are Japanese blacks. I've got a cherry tomato that is, it's a black cherry. It's sort of what the garden center had. And then these are Valencias. That's an orange tomato over here. So in this bed, it's also getting to be a jungle. I've got baby kale here. It's really easy to grow, and you pick it, just scattered some seeds onto the ground, tamped it in with a trowel, keep it watered well, and I pick every day for our salad. So we have baby kale nonstop for about 6 weeks now. I planted far too much parsley. I had a 6-pack, and just because I got 6 plants doesn't mean I have to plant all 6 of them, but I did, and now I've got a ton of parsley. So if you live in my neighborhood and you want parsley, let me know. I pulled out the spinach because the leaf miners had a field day with it, and then it bolted, so I put 2 bush beans in its place here. And I've got 4 pole bean plants. I pulled out the peas when they were done. And I'm gonna need a step ladder to harvest these beans. Got chard. It's growing well, and let's get this. More kale than I know what to do with. Yeah, I know what to do with it. I'll dehydrate it, and I've already do have some dehydrated. But I'll give you another view from the sidewalk. And I've got an Asian pear tree here and another one at the other end of the driveway. The squirrels eat them. That's also an Asian pear, that espaliered one. And it would be nice if I could actually get some pears, but squirrels have already started eating them, and they're not even close to being ripe. So anyway, well, and we're coming to the end of the tour. Here's the peonies that put on a show this spring. And they're done for. They're just nice foliage now. And it's too bad. They put on a show, and then for about a week, and then they're gone. But it was a beautiful show. So anyway, hope you enjoyed my garden tour, and come back. Thanks.